This time around on Author's Corner, I am excited to introduce you to Jerry Lucas. The name of his book is The Lawyer and the Astronaut. And he joins us here on America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney. And he likes science fiction. I like science fiction. But this is really such an amalgamation of a couple of things for sure. And it is very entertaining. Jerry, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you, Kate.
What made you write this book? How'd this story come to you?
Probably most of it came to me as I was actually writing. I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do. But the things that really fascinate me are science fiction, time travel, and romance. And I wanted to throw all those three things into the book. And I thought about it for a while and came up with a rough idea of how to do it, and then started writing.
So tell us about the story.
It starts out with it's in the year 2446, so it's a little bit into the future, and Josh and Laura are the main characters. They both lose their jobs and are in pretty desperate straits. Josh finally finds a job as a space explorer, where he has to go on a manned mission out to a strange planet and just see if it's habitable for humans, or he has a tough job to do. Laura is they fall in love, by the way, and get married, and Laura agrees to be cryogenically frozen, waiting for Josh to return. And it's going to be 1,200 years that Josh is going to be gone. So anyways, Laura is cryogenically frozen. Josh takes off to the other world. The other world is very similar to the Earth, but much younger than the Earth. So, in effect, in some sense, Josh is traveling to an earlier part of Earth's history. So he's millions of years in the past and encounters dinosaurs and all these kinds of things from millions of years ago. And besides scientifically collecting data, Josh has to fight for his life against the alien life forms there. And so there's quite a bit of interesting encounters there. When it's finally time for Josh to come home, he gets lost in space, and one of the stars that he was using for navigation disappeared while he was gone. There was a supernova, and the star disappeared from it doesn't exist anymore. And Josh is lost in space and has to use science and astronomy to dig his way out and find his way back to Earth. So he eventually does that, but he's over 100 years late returning. And in the meantime, Laura has been on the Earth, and she gets woken up and told that Josh is 100 years late, and he hasn't arrived yet, and we don't know what's happened to him. So Laura struggles to find her new life in this future world, and eventually becomes a lawyer. Goes to law school, gets a couple of good friends that go into law school with her, and she comes out and becomes a lawyer. And then Josh comes back from his trip, and is informed immediately that he violated the Interplanetary Endangered Species Act by killing some alien life forms while he was on the other planet, and Laura is there as a lawyer and defends him in the case, and they win the case, and Josh and Laura live happily ever after in the far distant future. And that's, in a nutshell, that's it.
Well, I can only imagine too when she gets cryogenically frozen and you go through that, and then when she's trying to play catch up, and she becomes a lawyer, as you said, inevitably there's so many rich storylines there because he would have to help his wife get indoctrinated because there'd be so much that was missed in trying to catch up and marry those two things together. So that had to be interesting writing that, right?
Yeah, and I tried very hard to make it to make all the whole book scientifically sound. In other words, what I don't want is for somebody to say, "Oh, you can't say this. This is just impossible to happen." So I tried to make everything scientifically cohesive. So yeah, it was tough work writing a book, but I'm pretty happy with it.
To make it scientifically cohesive, was it fascinating to find out more about cryogenics?
Oh, yeah, I studied cryogenics, in preparation for writing the book, and it's a difficult science because it hasn't been mastered fully yet today. But I'm anticipating that in 400 years, which is when the story takes place, that I'm anticipating that those remaining problems will be solved, and you can and it will become a viable way to sleep into the future.
Yeah, and with the time travel, and from his end of it, and talking about Josh, who, you're talking about the year 2446, losing the job. People can relate to that. You know that, Jerry, losing a job, can't find another job. So, hey, this is what happens here. I mean, there really is that scientific fantasy element of it. What is it about time travel that gets you excited that you can take us to places we don't really know about?
Well, yeah, because it's science has shown that you can travel to the future just by traveling at a speed that's very close to light speed. You can travel to the future, but you can't travel to the past. At least it seems like the only way you can do it is go through wormholes and all this crazy stuff. And but it doesn't sound like there's really a way to do it. But what Josh experienced is, there kind of is a way. If you go visit another planet that's has developed in a similar way to Earth did, except it's a lot younger than the Earth, then you can, in a sense, visit the Earth as it existed a long time ago in the past, and that's what happened with Josh.
So for you, because you've written another book too, and it centers around math, which I love that. Did you ever think though that you would just dive into, and you said it was a lot of work writing it, to writing a novel? If you look at your background and the things you've done as an engineer, could you have looked into your own future and seen that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, writing a novel, writing fiction is really pretty exciting. I always I thought that would be a great thing to try to do someday. Did I think I was capable of it? I don't know. It's a tough challenge.
I like that. It's a tough challenge. By the way, this book, The Lawyer and the Astronaut, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it wherever good books are sold on Amazon. Hey, you can get it for a song if you like it, Kindle wise or hardback or paperback. The Lawyer and the Astronaut. What do you hope, Jerry, people take away from reading your book when they close the cover, they're done, or when they shut off their computer? What do you hope? They shut down their Kindle?
Well, I guess first of all, it's just entertainment because it's a really it's a nice romantic story, when they finally get together again, and after all this, they both go through parallel adventures, and I want people to have a respect for all the science that's involved, and come away with a belief that this is really possible in the future. Something like this really could happen, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I do think it, and you're right. That's part of the work, and that's what you put into this book so well. You did such a great job with that, Jerry Lucas. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Kate.